Wednesday, March 5th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, the laser tag, the Airsoft, the Paintball.
Let's do this.
Stupid economy. I got this letter. You know, I don't really check my mail, but I got this letter from Geico because I have a Geico credit card because they give me like a ton off my car insurance. And back when I used to drive a lot, I got 3% off gas. That wasn't so bad.
All credit cards that don't have some sort of annual fee, are relatively equal, because we're not stupid where we're carrying a balance, and you're only going to carry a balance if in an emergency. And in that case, do you really care what the interest rate is? I mean, no one's going to give you a 99% interest rate. It's always going to be some reasonable or relatively reasonable number.
Well, yeah, unless you get a quote-unquote credit card from Joey Jojo down on the corner.
Of course, but the vast majority of credit cards are relatively equal. So in the vast majority of situations, this thing that separates them from one another is, first of all, is it Visa, American Express, or MasterCard, or Discover? Because that determines where it will be accepted.
What, I'm going to lecture on credit cards there?
Well, no. But the other thing is the rewards. So you chose the Geico credit card because they gave you huge rewards, because auto insurance is a pretty big expense, and using that card saves you a lot of money.
My auto insurance has been for a while like $20 a month because I drive what is barely classified as a car. What I would have called in my younger days in Michigan a beater.
Yeah, I'm about to pay off my car, so then I will own it fully, and then I will decrease the insurance and get a higher deductible.
Yep.
And it will be much better.
I have like a $5,000 deductible on a car that's worth about $500.
I've got a $500 deductible, which sucks. I'd much rather have a $1,000 or $2,000 deductible, but the owner of the car or part owner of the car will not let me, and so I need to buy the car from them and to change the deductible.
Yep, but anyway, I use this credit card even though I don't drive that much anymore, so the benefits weren't so great. But whatever, it had a high limit, and they reduced my limit by an order of magnitude. And they sent this email basically saying, "Hey, we're lowering every single Geico credit card person's limit down to some piddly amount. It's like $1,400."
Whoa, even if you had a big limit before?
They said that they're doing it across the board. They didn't even check anyone's credit. They just dropped everyone across the board. And I got to get a new credit card now because I spend more than that every month. So now I can't use my credit card.
I've got a Visa, which is the Sony card from, which is the first credit card I ever got. And I recently got an American Express that's a cashback thingy. And that's, pretty much, it's I could get a gold or platinum or whatever American Express, but they all have annual fees, big ones. It's a big scam. So I stick with the one that just gives me cash back, right? And I basically use the American Express for everything except for places that don't accept it. And then I have Visa, which everyone fucking accepts. And that, they both have limits of like 3,000 to 4,000 or even more. So it's like, whatever. I spend I charge like $1,000 a month, so it's no big deal.
Yeah, but I charge a little more than that, so.
You're buying too much.
I buy a lot of stuff. What do you want? Plus, it's weird how the economy's gone down, but I haven't really changed my spending habits.
Well, I haven't either because I was frugal before, so I can't really get more frugal without starting to actually make sacrifices. But I don't need to because I've been frugal. And my bank account, I'm still employed. I still make the same money.
Yep.
So I still am getting a profit. The only reason I'm not actually seeing the actual number go way up is that I keep shoving thousands of dollars to pay off the car sooner than I'm supposed to.
It was just weird to have something like that happen. It was one of those kind of secondary effects of a shrinking economy.
Can you just cancel the card?
Yeah.
See, the thing is, you have to go around to all the places you're automatically paying stuff with the card and switch it up.
I know, and that totally sucks. I mean, I'm having enough trouble switching banks.
I know, it's like if you switch banks, I've got like 5 or 6 places that automatically take money out of my bank account and automatically put money in.
Plus,
I got to go and refill out all these forms to switch a bank if I want to.
The bank I was thinking of switching to isn't doing so well now, so I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, and even the Swiss banks are having trouble now. They're getting forced to cough up their info. You're not even safe in a Swiss bank anymore. I mean, what's the world coming to?
Well, that's where you keep all your illegal money, obviously.
Duh. Well, yeah, duh. That's what they're for. I mean, I guess, there's still, my bank is, a savings and loan from Connecticut, and it's FDIC insured for what that's worth these
My
days.
bank was a bank in Michigan, a tiny little bank that got bought out by a bigger bank and bought out by a bigger bank and bought out by a bigger bank and bought out by a bigger bank. My routing number means nothing to anyone at this point.
I mean, it's weird. It's like I was in Connecticut, right? And when I was a kid, there were basically two banks that sort of had a lot of branches. And, there were always, there would be a Chase Bank, like one branch of it. There'd be one HSBC branch, right? But there was, there were a whole bunch of People's Bank branches and a whole bunch of these, it was like Connecticut something bank, right? And the Connecticut something bank one day got bought by this other bank, Shawmut, and it was a big deal. And then in no time at all, Shawmut got bought by something else and got bought by something else. And now it's like Wachovia owns whatever that used to be, right? It's like the 5th time it's been bought out.
Yep.
But People's Bank is still there. It's still People's Bank. And back when, things were starting to get bad, I went to their website because that's where all my money is. And they said, it was like right on the front page, People's Bank largely untouched by, lack of money in bad mortgages.
Not too bad.
So it's like they're just it's a savings and loan bank. It's perfectly normal and mundane in every way, and it's pretty much only in Connecticut and I think Massachusetts, and it's just fine.
The real trouble I had, though, is that I never really wrote checks. So I got a book of checks when I opened this account. So my book of checks not only says the name of a bank that doesn't exist anymore, that is 4 generations removed from the bank I use now, but it has my mom's name on
My
it.
checks have my mom's name.
And they have an address that no one in my family has lived at for
that's a problem.
a decade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got an account at, that whatever other bank, right? But then when I left to go to college, I had a checking account in way early. But then when I left to go to college, I switched to the People's Bank because the People's Bank had a special college deal that let me get, all the no ATM fees and all that other business I got going on. So that's, so I switched the account over. And I had basically, when I was in high school, I had these Dilbert checks. And then I had a whole box of checks, right? And then I barely used any of them, and I switched accounts. And then I got the superhero checks, and I still have the superhero checks. That's how few I use.
I ran into trouble.
These checks are literally I've had them for over a decade or more.
I have this box of HSBC checks because I opened an account there when I was at RIT, but then I didn't use it because almost right away, my bank got bought out again, and then a local bank in Rochester turned into my bank.
No.
So I just gave up on HSBC. I just pulled all my money out and left it. So
no. Maybe you could go to HSBC. I mean, they're not, no one's doing well, but they're an okay international bank, relatively solid.
Yeah, but my real trouble is when I got part of the reason I want to shift banks is because my routing number and everything is so old that getting new checks, because I actually used my last personal check, because I only ever got one book.
When you get a new
ever.
bank account, usually they give you one book of checks for free.
But I can't get checks with my current account because the routing numbers and all the stuff associated with it is so old and has been through so many banks.
I'm sure if you went to the bank.
I did, and they couldn't figure it out, and they wanted to charge me all this money.
Well, that's the thing is when you get checks from some online check printing place, they're wicked cheap. But when you buy them at the bank, they always charge you an arm and a leg. But you know what sucked? When I got the superhero checks. You know why I got the superhero checks?
Why'd you get the superhero checks?
Because they were super cheap, right?
Yep.
The actual bank, they had a partnership with this company called Deluxe, right? That printed checks, and they charged 10 times the amount that everyone else charged for printing checks.
Actually, what I learned, because I reprint stuff for Geeknights, we got our new business cards and all that stuff we do, and I do a lot of printing.
Mm-hmm.
But I've discovered that now a lot of places, and many of them didn't do it until recently, but you can just make whatever kind of check you want.
Oh yeah, you can make whatever you want. It's no big deal.
And thinking about making some kind of awesome checks.
Right, but this place that partnered with the bank, that was the official check provider for the bank that charged an arm and a leg more than anyone else. They offered Star Wars checks that no one else offered. It was I could get, and they were way more awesome than any of the checks you could. I mean, there's literally, I looked around, there was nowhere to get Star Wars checks. They had the exclusive license.
Maybe we should make the Geeknights checkbook, and then
Who would get Geeknights checks besides us?
I don't know. I mean, if one of the checks is warm today.
I mean, the thing is, right? I've had one box of checks for a decade, and I haven't even used up half of it.
Yeah,
and checks are going the way of the dodo bird.
I basically only write checks to interface with people who don't use modern means
I only
of
write
payment.
checks when I want to buy dodo birds.
They're kind of hard to come by.
Yeah. Bododio. All right, so we did book club last Thursday, right? But one thing that people mentioned that was absolutely right is that we didn't do. Well, not only did we not do a good job of selling the next book, we didn't do any job of selling the next book. I pretty much said the next book is going to be this, the end.
Well, I guess I assumed that people knew who Ernest Hemingway was and that I wouldn't need to sell Ernest Hemingway to people.
Well, no, we're talking about the book that I was selling after we were done with the Ernest Hemingway.
Oh, yeah. Well, considering how few people listen to the Hemingway episode.
Oh, it's true.
I don't think many people even know what book we're doing next.
Yeah, it's also true. But anyway, so I think, I don't know, maybe, we might mix up the book club a little bit more. Like, should we do the selling of the next book and the reviewing of the previous book? Like, some people suggested we do the half and half. I think that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And actually, maybe if we do the selling of the next book in the first half, that might actually work better for people who didn't read. If they listen to the episode right away, they get the selling, because that's what they need. If you haven't read the book, you want the selling right away rather than, the review of the book you didn't read right away.
But I think for now, we're just going to kind of play it by ear and we're just going to do the book club stuff as it comes up and as it makes sense, because overthinking it is just going to cause trouble.
Exactly. So anyway, I want to spend, a few minutes here to sell you on the next book, right? Because if you haven't read this book, this is sort of one of those books. It's a little bit more than some of the other books we've done in the book club. In fact, this is probably like my new favorite book since I read it. But anyway,
that's a heady claim.
The book is The Amazing Adventures of Kavalier and Clay, written by Michael Chabon. It won the Pulitzer Prize. You cannot win a better prize than that for writing things. It's not possible.
What if you win the Nobel Peace Prize because you wrote a book that fostered peace?
That's not a book for... We discussed this already. That's not a book for writing. You could win the Nobel Prize for literature. You could win the Nobel Prize for literature, but that is not as good as the Pulitzer Prize. It is one step below in the Book of Scott. All right? So when a book wins the Pulitzer Prize, that's serious business. I mean, we've done some books that are like, pretty great. I mean,
so Scott,
Hemingway and such... Not Pulitzer Prize winners.
What won the last Pulitzer Prize?
I don't know.
Can you name any other books that won Pulitzer Prizes?
I could.
Yeah.
I saw someone who had the newest Pulitzer Prize winning thing on the train the other day, and I forgot what it was, but I meant to go and add it to my Amazon, whatever.
But I can point out that this book, I have not read it. I'm the only person in the world who hasn't read it. Apparently.
I don't know how much of the crew has read it. I don't know if Alex. I mean, I know me and Emily have read it. I don't know anyone else though.
Now the thing is, because Emily knows that we're doing this as the next book, she's reading it again, and
I gotta read it again.
Yeah, but this crew.
I've only read it once.
This crew is not a crew that will often reconsume media unless that media is of the highest quality.
Yeah. So let me just tell you what this book is about a little bit, right? So it's a novel. It's a fictional story of these two cousins, right? Kavalier and Clay. I forget what their. I think it was Joe Kavalier and I forget the first name of the other guy, but it doesn't really matter so much. But anyway, they're like Jewish cousins, and one guy is a Jew living in I think Brooklyn, right? And the other guy, Kavalier. So Clay lives in Brooklyn, right? And Kavalier was in Europe during the Holocaust and such, and his family sent him away to go live with the cousins in America, right? So you have that sort of Holocaust story, right? You've also got this, sort of retelling mishmash of the history of comic books in America, right? As he basically tells all these stories that are obviously just riffs on the true stories of Eisner and Iger and Simon and Schuster and all these famous American comic artists, right? He retells their stories with Kavalier and Clay as, the artist and writer of the comics, right? You've also got adventure stories going on, right? You've also got escapist, Houdini kind of action going on. You've also got the Golem, going on, the whole story of the Golem of Prague.
I like golems quite a bit.
And that ties in with the Houdini parts, right? You've also got sort of like this love story and dealing with like art and there's a lot of New York in this book, a whole bunch of New York. Empire State Building plays a huge part in this book.
Did they turn the Empire State Building into a golem?
No.
Okay.
It's not ridiculous. It's there's nothing in here that is magical or unbelievable. You got war story in here. There's a whole war action going on. That's part of the adventure. And you've also got lots of it's just all these things, right, that seem like they would be separate books, yet somehow they're all in this one story with these two characters sort of at the center of the vast majority of it. And it's really pretty thrilling, and pretty much it doesn't hurt that all of those things are like right down the alley of Scott Rubin. It's like comic books, Jews, Houdini, adventure, all in one book. And it's one of the best books I've ever read, and I could probably read it like 10 more times. I mean, it's Watchmen good. That's how good this book is. So if you're gonna read one book club, I promise I won't say this ever again. If you catch me saying this about any other book club book ever again, call me out, right? If you're ever going to do the book club even once, and if you're only going to do the book club once, this should be the one time that you do it for this book. And it's not an expensive book. Let's see. The cover price is $15 for the soft cover. So on Amazon, it's probably less than that. It's got to be less than that. It's got to be like $8 or something like that. I'm just guessing. I don't have a computer in front of me. So The Amazing Adventures of Kavalier and Clay. Kavalier is spelt with a K. Clay is spelt with a C.
We'll link to it.
Yeah, by Michael Chabon. Read this book. Oh, thing is, this is not, the book is 600 no, it's not 600. Is it? How many pages? Yeah, I think it's 639 pages. So this isn't like a sissy book. Oh, wait, I think it's...
So, things of the day. Booty.
Arr, booty.
My poot. My butt. Pooted. Cat jazz.
Cat jazz?
Nutters. I like nutters a lot.
All right.
There's something about nutters.
What's cat jazz?
How about fup?
What's fup?
I'm juicy.
Are you?
Maybe. Titliest is in here.
What?
Or Titleist, but it looks like they interpreted it as Titliest.
Oh, Titleist like the golf ball.
Or Titliest.
As in the most tits?
Bungle hater. Geeked up. Okay, so I found this list of all the license plates that were rejected by the state of Ohio.
See, I mean, New York, right? I got Fear and Rim got Otori, and they didn't reject, right? They were cool. They were told, and I see, you know what? I drive around New York and I see license plates, and I see a lot of cool ones out there. So I know that whoever's approving and disapproving the vanity plates in New York, I mean, they're obviously not gonna let like fuck you through, but they're letting cool stuff through, and
they gotta let the ass man through.
I know, right? Ass man. I'm pretty sure that's real ass man, right? So Ohio must just be fucking sticklers.
No fac. Penina. Okay. All right. Conman 1, Conman 2, Conman 3. I think someone was trying to get...
Right, but it's like, I could understand, I mean, first of all, right, if I was in charge, pretty much anything would be approved except for like 0-0, 1I, 1I, 0-0.
That was always my plan, though, because the cops wouldn't know what to do and I couldn't get my ticket.
Yeah, the cops would have to look real close to get your correct license plate, and if they typed it in wrong, they'd get... So that is obviously a license plate that's not okay, but... I would be fine with fuck you, but okay, even if...
Poop on you, Pouponu.
Yeah, the thing is, even if you wanted to weed out profane license plates, okay, even by a pretty strict judgment, what's wrong with geeked up? I mean, how is that profane in any way?
Well, biting the heads off chickens, it's horrible.
I know, right? I mean, what other... There's a whole bunch of them on there. I mean, like, I can understand rejecting some of these, You know, like maybe even the poop and the ass ones and the bitch ones.
Even though I feel like they should allow them
they should
all.
allow. I think they. You know, I would like them to allow it, but I can understand
Like
at least if they
Rinzel.
don't allow like dumb bitch, right?
Why
I
do
can
they not
understand
allow
that.
Rinzel? I can't think of anything bad.
Exactly. What's wrong with Rinzel?
Someone tried to get yiffing.
See, I guess they knew what yiffing was.
Maybe they just go to Urban Dictionary.
Maybe they search for every single thing on Google and find, and that's why some of the ones are rejected because maybe just bad search results come up.
Ohio
even
sucks.
if they're not related.
I hate Ohio.
Oh yeah, they got anything that says sucks. They don't allow, which it's pretty consistent.
Yeah, but FUP. I can't figure out why FUP.
I
wouldn't
guess
be
it's
allowed.
just fuck you people. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but FUP. It's kind of classy. I like FUP.
Yeah,
I can fuck.
I don't see anything wrong with that, but I don't know. A lot of these seem like they were rejected, even though they weren't profane, and I think there might be room. I'm not a lawyer, but there could be lawsuit.
Here's what bothers me. One, profane is very different from obscene,
That's true.
and here are the guidelines that Ohio uses from the article.
All right.
They will block any license plate that quote advocates lawlessness.
Okay.
Quote, could reasonably be expected to provoke a violent response without additional comment.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently Geeked Up either promotes lawlessness or will provoke a violent response.
Oh, those
from
are
an
the only
average person.
two?
Or are, quote, profane, obscene, sexually explicit, or scatological.
No, that explains the poop ones. Wait, so
But no,
scatological, but pee is okay.
Apparently, unless it's obscene or profane. Now, here's what bothers me. Obscene means one thing, but profane, you shouldn't be able to restrict profanity because profanity has religious connotations. You shouldn't. I think that someone in Ohio could sue on the grounds that the state cannot restrict profane license plates. They can restrict obscene ones and all these other things, but I think you'd have a good case against profane.
Here's a question for Thade's friend Ray, the First Amendment lawyer from Ohio.
Of course, I also feel like could reasonably be expected to provoke a violent response doesn't fit with pretty much any of these unless...
Yeah, it's like, what license plate could you make that would elicit...
Or what kind of people are living in Ohio?
Exactly. I mean, like, maybe... You know what could evoke a violent response? Fuck the cops. That would elicit a violent response from the cops, right? Or, like, kill police or kill cops. That would be, not work out. But, I mean...
Geeked Up? Okay, kill yourself. I don't know. I find that kind of funny. And Naked Dave and Beetle Bomb.
Yeah, what's wrong with those? I don't know.
Ultra Pimp?
I think even by those rules, a lot of these license plates are not obscene, profane. They don't evoke a violent response. They're not scatological. Some of them are, but a lot of them aren't, and it's sort of fucked up.
But I feel like scatological should be a requirement.
Just Ohio, the poop state. I mean, we already know that it is. We might as well, just say it loud and say it proud.
Okay, eat poo.
It is scatological though, so it is against the law.
But
sadly.
it's kind of funny. I don't know if I was driving and I saw a license plate that said "eat poo," I would not be driven to this mad, enraged act of violence.
I would drive next to the person and give them a high five.
Oh well, I've had vanity plates my whole life. I will have vanity plates for the rest of my life because the minor cost involved is worth it for the fact that a lot of people see that.
Yeah. Anyway, so a long time ago on the show, I did a thing of the day about a patent that is owned by, well, I don't know if you own a patent, but a patent that was issued to Mr. Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller. And his patent was for the Jill Jet, which is a device that you have in a hot tub that shoots a jet of water for pleasuring women. And, he uses it quite often. I can tell you that. But I discovered more recently another patent owned by a Mr. Michael Jackson. Yes, the white, scary guy of Thriller
This
fame.
isn't like Michael Jackson, like Mike Rowe and his micro software.
No, this is actually a patent that was issued to, a U.S. patent issued to the Michael Jackson, who, by the way, is selling a bunch of his stuff on auction, including he has really good taste in arcade games. So if you want some of his really good and pristine arcade machines, they are up for auction. Some of them are really, really hot, too. Secondly, I just read in the news today that like he's going to do live concerts, and that's sort of fucked up. Can he still do a live concert or not?
I saw some article though. He went to the doctor to find out if he can still do concerts.
Really?
Yeah.
He said he's going to do 10 shows, so it's like, huh?
You know, if he'll probably do one in New York. I would consider.
No, I think he was doing it was like in England. Didn't say anything about the U.S.
Because I would probably go see him just so I could say in my life that I saw Michael Jackson perform live.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Even if he's a scary dude, even if he's like
Thriller.
Yeah, it's
Thriller
like
is like one of the greatest albums ever made.
if he can still perform the music in the same way, it's like I would go see a Mike Tyson fight. You know, sure he's a piece of shit, but you go on YouTube and watch him beat the shit out of someone. It's so fucking amazing.
Just don't make a license plate about it.
Well, yeah, that's right. But anyway, so this is a patent owned by Michael Jackson. What the patent is for, if you know Michael Jackson, is sort of like, oh, that's all right. So do you remember when Michael Jackson would dance and he would lean over and he would lean so far over, yet somehow he would not fall down, even though he was leaning impossibly far, impossibly beyond the point where his center of gravity would tip.
Now, I just always assumed he was awesome. I would try to do that as a kid.
I thought that he had just really strong leg muscles, or that there would, I never even thought about like, what the trick was or what, but he always did that dance where he leaned really far. So this patent is for the thing that lets him lean really far, and I'll let you look at the patent yourself and go, oh, and feel stupid like the rest of us. Yeah.
So, where my lasers at?
Where my lasers at?
But the laser dabs. Something, but the laser crabs.
So it took us a while to come up with what to do the show on, but we finally settled. We're going to talk about
Laser crabs.
laser crab, paintballs, and airsofts. All the sort of real world FPSs.
Because I'll admit, when I was a kid, think about it. I was a kid. You were all kids at some point. A lot of you still are kids. And you had guns, like fake guns. And
Water guns, super soakers.
Well, the lowest level
cap
is
guns.
the lowest level is like the object that is shaped like a gun that does not work in any way. Like I used to.
It has a trigger and it goes click.
No, that's a step up. I'm talking
wow.
about like I took some waffle blocks and made a gun and carried it around.
Then you just took some Legos and you made a right angle where one side was longer than the other side.
Or like when I was a kid, I remember I knew a lot of friends whose parents like wouldn't let their kids play with guns. So as a result, those kids would make guns.
As a tangent, I want to say, right? I found it so strange that kids who were like, hicks, or maybe, actually had real guns, like we would go to summer camp, right? And they'd have riflery, and people would actually fire real guns in the rifle range. And you would have like 8-year-old kids on the rifle range with 22s, and they were very, these weren't mature kids. They were 8 years old. But on the rifle range, they handled themselves very maturely. They would never point the gun at anyone else. They would never do anything stupid. Everyone was there and taking things very seriously and such and such. And, no one had sort of like this unsafe fascination with guns or anything like that. But when I would go to like a kid's house, right? Or a kid would come over and it was some kid who wasn't allowed to have any toy guns by his parents. Those kids who weren't allowed any, exposure to guns at all were just sort of dangerously fascinated with toy guns. And if you took them, like I would go to a birthday party and you at someone's house who had a toy gun or two, and you could tell that like some of the kids at the party would just be like so fascinated with the toy guns, they would just play with them and ignore everything else. And the rest of us would be like, what the fuck's wrong with you guys? Why are you playing with the toy guns? We got like freaking, gigantic transformer here who makes noise and lights up and is like, 2 feet long. What, what are you guys doing? And they were just, incredible. And I think that, a better way or something that we could do to have better gun safety is to have, proper, 22 rifle marksmanship as, in school.
Of course, the begged question, if you want, we're not going to debate gun ownership right now.
No.
That people would point out is that why do we live in a society where we have to make sure everyone is super cool with guns?
Exactly.
But that's neither here nor there.
But anyway, the point is that I think it's related to laser tag, paintball, airsoft, because these are sort of ways in which you can sort of, learn about guns and weapons and sort of aiming and using them and such in a very safe and risk-free environment. And also, it's sort of weird. It's like you can play an FPS, but an FPS is not, this is like, a totally other level we're talking about here. Even laser tag is like a way, way more than an FPS is.
Yep. And I love it. And I want to do more of it. Because I remember when I was a kid, first it was just we had to play with like whatever we had. But then the Nerf revolution happened. And suddenly,
Nerf, I forgot about Nerf.
Suddenly you could prove there's no more, I shot you, no, you didn't. It was, it hit you in the face. I got you. You're done.
Then you put thumbtacks on the end of them and when you hit somebody.
Nah, I went.
Not really.
I went on a different tack. I modified my Nerf guns. I remember one time, Greg, an old FRC person we haven't talked to in a while. They kind of went off on their own way, but he came out with me to Michigan to go to Cedar Point, and we were hanging out at my parents' house. It was like after freshman year of uni.
And you had your modified bow and arrows there?
I had my modified Nerf gun that I'd modified when I was a kid. So we walked down and in the basement, and I turn around. He's coming down the stairs, and I say, "Check out my Nerf gun." And he goes, "Yeah, what of it?" And I shot it at him, and he goes, "Holy shit!" Followed by, "Fuck." It was most excellent.
That's good stuff.
That thing hurt.
How'd you do? Rubber bands?
No, well, all I did, I took the that 6-shot that shot regular Nerf arrows from a 6-shooter.
Yep.
I put a much bigger spring
in it. You mean the
it.
Arrow Storm?
Yes.
Yes.
I put a gigantic spring in it, and instead of shooting the big arrows, I shot the little orange suction darts from the Nerf Razorback.
So you put the arrows inside the holes instead of around.
Yep, shit be crazy.
Yeah, then there's no friction of it sliding off the plastic shaft or any. Yeah.
But I mean, that wasn't really fun enough because while you could play the awesome Nerf bow and arrow and everything, one, you had to go pick up all those arrows afterward, and the neighbor kid would always lose all your arrows, and
tell me about it.
You could always dodge those things.
Oh, even for if you were anywhere with any sort of range and you saw it coming, it wasn't gonna hit you.
I mean, they're not like night arrows,
right? So really, it's like you want to have sort of the thrill and fun of having some sort of gun combat simulation, but you don't actually want anyone to get hurt, right? And you just sort of want to, but you actually want to use, your physical abilities as opposed to say just your hands with an FPS. You actually want to walk around, actually duck, actually crawl, actually climb things.
Because I
hide.
I feel like competition and fighting and things are still, humans are animals, and I think there are a lot of things in humanity that harken back to our older days, our more primitive days, and I feel like there is this drive to fight. And nothing is better than taking that drive and making an awesome game about it.
Yeah, I mean, what else can you really do in terms of satisfying this urge to fight, but also doing it, for real, physically, right?
Soccer, that worked for Europe.
Yeah, I mean, doing it physically and not simulating it, right? But also not getting hurt. I mean, even if you do martial arts or boxing or something along those lines, I mean, you're not gonna get killed. But it hurts sometimes. You get whacked with a stick or you get punched in the face and you go, oh, shit,
Plus, there's something about...
And boxing, I mean, you're going to get brain damage. It's going to happen.
It's the same reason why, Boffa weapons are so much fun. But I think it's different with gun because it's a lot more tactical and strategic and reflexes and a lot less of all the other factors.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, you could do act like some of the real sword fighting stuff. You can sort of get that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've done fencing and I was hurt once by Katsu doing kendo.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing with sword fighting is I think it's more, maneuvers and things like that. And you're very close with the other person, but with guns, you're sort of, it's more about the environment, right? You're jumping on things, running away from things, dodging. It's more of an extended thing as opposed to a quick reflexes thing like, aha, okay, it's over. Guns is more like it's an extended engagement. I think that's the best way of putting it. But anyway, I've done paintball a few times. How many times have you done paintball?
Paintball, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, I think, max. Not that many.
Yeah.
2 of those times were at RIT and 2 were in high school.
Yeah, I only did it once at RIT. I think I did it 2 or 3 times before then.
I think we did it. Didn't we go with like
But yeah, we went
Hillel
in freshman year. We went with
your floor? Wasn't
the
it
floor.
like DJ?
Yeah, we went laser tag with Hillel.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, when we went to laser tag, I completely. It's like
Scott dominated everyone like to a degree that was frightening.
All right, so we went into this laser tag, and it was a pretty good laser tag. Basically, they had all these guns.
Well, it was Laser Quest. That's like the standard generic free-for-all laser tag.
Yeah, all the guns work, right? You can shoot someone in the front or the back or the gun, I think. You can just shoot as many times as you want, right? And every time you hit someone, they can't fight, they're sort of dead for a few seconds, like 5 to 10 seconds, something like that. And then when they come back to life, then they can shoot again. So it's basically when you shoot someone, their gun gets turned off for a short time, and then they're back in the game. So you want to get hit as little times as possible because that also enables you to hit others as many times as possible. And the rules, I think, were no running. All right, I think that was it. No running and no hitting people. And
now that's why. I mean, I love laser tag, but the way laser tag is dead. Laser tag is like the deadest freaking thing.
Outdoor laser tag still has something because
no, but it's not. Where it doesn't. There are two. There are
a couple places.
Scott.
There are like 2 places that do it.
Scott, the nearest laser tag place to us is like 40 miles away.
Oh yeah, there's so few of them. But, they're about as common as, go-kart tracks.
No, there are a lot more go-karts.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm talking about real go-karts, though, not the fake ones.
Plus, remember, laser tag, has had this long decline, and a lot of the companies that make the equipment have gone out of business.
That's true. It's true.
And there's not that much demand for it.
Well,
and also,
Paintball and Airsoft pushed them out.
Well, the real problem was that all the ways to play laser tag that were fun for people like us were not fun for the primary demographic, which was 9-year-old birthday parties.
That's true.
So laser tag, Laser Quest was always super lame. Laser Quest was the weakest laser tag for me because it's always every man for himself, free for all. And there's
you got every man for himself, free for all is better than some of the other ones I've done. I did a laser tag once that basically was there's 2 bases on each side, quote bases, and you had to basically get across the map without dying, right? And if map, right, room without dying. And if you did die, you had to go all the way back to your side to this one spot that would bring you back to life, right? And once you got to the other side, you got into one of these 2 corners, and in the corners, these tiny bases, and you would sit in the tiny base shooting the little target, a tiny target constantly as much as you could to rack up as many points as you could for your team until someone eventually came into your little, enemy base and shot you, and you had to run all the way back to your... So it was pretty much a whole lot of running back and forth and not a whole lot of shooting people.
See, but I like Qzar. I like the fact that you had lives, and the fact that the game...
Well, Qzar was more like an actual multiplayer FPS.
But that's what I'm talking about. The really good laser tag was few and far between because usually it was laser tag where it's a bunch of people kind of playing half-assedly. You're not allowed to run. You're not allowed to climb. There's people everywhere making sure you don't break the rules. Yep. And you've got the 6-year-old kid holding his hand over his sensor, just walking behind you, shooting you in the back.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is whenever I think that's part of the problem is that the I don't want a tangent here, right? Because we're going, but the part of the reason why the arcade failed in the U.S. is because the people who would really keep an arcade going are serious gamers, but most of the people who went to the arcade were non-serious gamers, just kids having a birthday party or whatever, and they did not mix well. It's the serious gamer isn't going to play laser tag when it's full of kids who aren't taking it seriously and are just ruining it and sort of making it stupid.
Plus the fact that they dumbed the game down to accommodate the fact that, every 20 minutes they run a 15-minute game.
Yep.
So it's always the 15-minute you can never die free-for-all, as opposed to the awesome Qzar. All right, let's go. 2 teams, green and orange. Bases, 6 lives. If you run out of lives, you are fucking done. Go home.
Yeah, I mean, when you do that, right, you're gonna get the birthday party crowd, but the birthday party crowd is gonna get bored of that eventually. They'll do laser tag for one birthday. And that's it. They're never going to do it again.
Not even that. They won't even have fun.
If you want to make a lot of money, you need to make it serious so that you have actually a league and you have people coming constantly. This is the bowling alleys, right? Bowling alleys are the only people that have sort of figured out this physical space entertainment thing, right? You have you have the birthday party situation covered, but you also have the league situation, serious people covered. You got to cover both, and laser tag covered neither. And
there are laser tag places that do, and those are the ones that have like these awesome, thriving communities. There just aren't any anywhere near us, or we would totally be a part of that.
I mean, there are definitely some, but they are very few and far between.
Yes, they're not near us.
Right. Yeah. So that's the deal with laser tag. Got ruined by the birthday party crowd.
Yeah.
Paintball never got really ruined by the birthday party crowd because it's sort of a thing that you wouldn't do unless you were serious. You're sort of afraid it's going to hurt, or, it's not something kids do. It's something that people who are sort of at least semi-serious go and do. I guess there might be some sort of corporate paintball outings going on, stuff like that. But, people don't generally do paintball unless they actually want to do sort of a gun combat kind of thing.
But even then, I mean, every time I've done paintball, like, it's really fun, but I don't like the rules of paintball as most people play it.
Well,
most of the games of paintball I've seen or played, they play like all the very specific kinds of games that are in no way reminiscent of combat or a simulation of combat or any. They're just basically this completely separate, specific game that happens to use paintball equipment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like they'll do, say, capture the flag, but you shoot people to get them out.
Yeah, or speedball and all that stuff.
Yeah, or they'll come up with some sort of rules or something along, and then they're just using paintball guns.
Well, I remember specifically when I played paintball at RIT, and I tried to use some tactics. So I go to that guy next to me, I'm like, all right, you rush forward to that fortification, I will cover you. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, ready? And I stick my gun over the barrier without looking and start just peppering the field. That's what military cover fire is in some cases.
Your balls are just landing in the grass, not doing anything.
Well, no, because it forces basically cover fire forces whoever's trying to shoot you to back down long enough for the person you are covering to get to the next place to hide.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately the ref blows the whistle and stops the game and comes over and cites me for the fact that you're not allowed to shoot around a barrier without seeing around the barrier while you're shooting, because you might hurt someone.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And then, but that was the beginning of it. And the more I played, like, there were so many fiddly rules that it wasn't that fun.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is that if you're not serious about paintball, like if you just go to a paintball place and just start playing, rent some equipment, go with all your friends or whatever, they don't crank the guns up all the way. They power them down, and that sort of makes it so they won't hurt people or get your eye out or any, and they won't, leave big welts on you or anything. But the fact is that when you power it down, the balls don't go very far and they're very inaccurate. So you can't really aim very well over any sort of distance. So it's sort of like, what the fuck? I only have a limited number of balls here, and I basically just wasted them all shooting at you, even all the way over there where it was impossible for me to hit you.
Plus, it just seems like there's a lot of spray and pray going on, and the good guns just fire a lot faster and a lot better. And I don't know. Paintball's cool. Don't get us wrong. I'm not, disparaging your sport. I know we have paintball people who are, about to kill us.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like more and more what I want is just Counter-Strike in the real world.
Well, I mean, that's really what the thing is, right? It's like FPSs, have real guns and things, right? Well, simulations of real guns. And thus, they actually do a pretty good job of simulating, the sort of combat situations that you want to, they're like fantasies that you want to fulfill, right? And that satisfies, the urge to have a combat situation, without actual risk, right? Because no one actually wants real combat. That's terrible. So if you want that sort of scenario without the risk, but by doing it with paintball, you're failing to fulfill the scenario.
Plus, I've seen some paintball places that do objective-based stuff like that, but there aren't that many of them as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
If you people know about more, let me know. But my ideal, I feel like more and more I've just got to get into Airsoft, because I feel like that's the only place where I can get exactly what I want.
Yeah. So basically, people don't know, right? Because it's surprising how many people don't know Airsoft. Airsoft is basically, it's sort of like paintball in that you have guns and you shoot each other, right? And you generate some sort of sport around that idea. And of course, it's not real weapons. They won't kill you or anything. And, there's no bullet. It's less than BBs, right? But basically what it is plastic BBs. They're about the size of a BB, but they're made of plastic. And they shoot pretty fast. Like, you could shoot through, a cardboard box with these things. But you can't shoot through someone's skin with them, right? If I shot you and it hit your skin, you would just go, ow, fuck.
Well, it depends. I mean, you can make an airsoft gun that will hurt people about as much as almost as much as a 22.
You could crank up the power. Well, no, a 22 can kill someone. This is not going to kill
anybody. You could make an
anybody.
airsoft gun that would kill someone.
If you hit someone in the unprotected eyeball,
or if you make an airsoft
shot
gun
him straight up the nose,
make an airsoft gun
somehow.
that's going at like 800 FPS or something.
I guess, but no, really, they're not gonna hurt. They will hurt, but it's very, very difficult if you are following basic and very simple. You basically have to go out of your way to permanently injure someone. In normal play with even, any sort of basic safety, no one's going to get actually hurt. They might feel pain when they get hit, but they won't get hurt, right? And the things, they're little plastic BBs. They shoot straight, sort of like the way almost like the way real bullets shoot. And all the guns, or most of the guns, are actually modeled after real world guns. So you can go and get like an Airsoft MP5, and except for the orange tip on the front, which identifies it as not a real weapon, it looks like an MP5 and fires about the same rate as an MP5, and they have the same thing. You can get an AK-47 or an M4 or a Deagle or whatever you want. And thus it is very good at fulfilling the simulation of combat, because like you could go in with like a pistol at the hip and a shotgun on the back and a rifle in the hands, and the ammo is small. It's not like paintball where you get this big bucket of balls that can get jammed all the time and stuff. It's just little plastic pellets. You can just, have a whole bunch of them. It's no problem.
It just generally looks like a lot of fun. And we haven't done it, but we always have this idea of buying a bunch of cheap airsoft guns.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not as expensive as you would think.
Like, we're thinking we'll just buy like the cheapest crap, like a bunch of pistols all around, low velocity, so we don't have to get like armor or anything, and just get basic safety equipment.
Yeah, you basically need a face mask, so you don't get your eyes or your face or anything, right? And you just need to have some amount of clothing covering your body, maybe some gloves. That way, if you get hit in the leg, instead of hitting your bare leg, it hits some jeans, and then, you're all right.
Yep, but I figure we can just get these. There's a million like abandoned factories around our.
Well,
where we
you
live.
really want to go to an actual airsoft place, because
I
that
can't find any really near us. There's that one lame paintball place near us, and that's about it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you don't have to go there all the time, but you want to go there at least once, because you'll learn a lot about. If you don't know about the airsoft or the paintball or whatever, you will learn a lot of the things you need to know from the people there who basically do it for a living. And once you learn it, then you can sort of go and find abandoned factory, whatever, and do it with your friends, as long as there's no one there.
I can just imagine the police like coming into this warehouse and finding like 18 members of the front row crew having a shootout.
Yeah, with like MP5s and M4s and AKs. Just going tick 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 tick. We would be spending at least a night in jail.
Of course, that might be worth it.
Maybe, The thing is, if you find a truly out of the way abandoned place, they're never gonna, no one's gonna know. It's not a problem. Your worst worry is like some, stranger will come along and be like, what the fuck? Or maybe they'll get hit and you'll be like, oh shit. That's something to worry about.
Well, then you just got to make sure there are no witnesses.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to get rid of witnesses when all you've got is guns that shoot plastic.
Pew, pew, pew. Ow. Pew, pew, pew. Ow. Stop it. Pew, pew, pew.
You'll never tell the coppers. Pew, pew. Ow, it hurts. My ass. Stop shooting me there.
Don't break my butt. Don't break my butt. He's breaking my butt.
He's broke the butt. All right.
I don't know. I'm feeling this more and more. Maybe it's partly because right now I'm really stir crazy because it's near the end of winter and I want to get outside and move around again.
I'll tell you what. This is summer. Let's do it no matter what.
Let's do it.
We'll find a place and
All
we'll
right.
do it.
The front row crew is getting into airsoft. It is hereby declared there can be no shit talking.
All right.
All right, we committed.
Yeah. The thing is, right, the one thing about airsoft, right, is I don't know enough about it, but I do know that they have electric guns that, go on battery power.
Everyone says you want like the gas blowback guns.
Yeah, and they also have ones that, have like gas cartridges. And it's like, which way should you go, really? It's like,
everyone's told me just go with gas blowback. It feels
but
more
I've
realistic.
also heard that like, the gas is better, but I've also heard, the electric freaking works. It's not, it's not like total crap.
Well, usually,
and it's way cheap. So if you're just, testing it out, having a good, get the electric, you'll save a ton of money.
Oh, well, to start, I imagine we're going to buy like the cheapest crap. And
well, I think we should rent, then buy, then, it's like we should step it up, go to the place and rent, go to the place with our bought stuff, then, keep using the shitty bot stuff until we know better, then buy good stuff, then keep using the good stuff, and then, see if we get serious and such,
Yeah,
standard progression.
I'm feeling this. I think we could have some fun in an abandoned factory with some pistols.
Yeah, sure.
This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geek Nights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.